welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to be reacting to Jesse Lee Peterson. Jesse says the mistreatment of whites in America. We need to focus on the mistreatment of whites in America. For sure, let's talk about it. Like, I don't know what the mistreatment of whites is, but I guess we about to find out. Pour some hot sauce in my collard greens. I cooked them and then put them back in the can. So, that's because y'all motherfuckers think I'm eating them just straight out the can, but it's collard greens, so it's still good for you. Anybody who trying to check on the diet, mind your business, all right? Let's get it. Let's go.
July is White History Month. Every July we celebrate the month of July, White History Month. And the reason I did it in July is that July just feels white. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
It's summer.
It's summer, 4th of July. Come on. That's
vacation time, relaxing time. That's so white. White people under attack today, like I've never seen before, and especially white Christian men. And I've noticed that white people are blamed for everything, all the losers, they blame white people for it. They call it racism, all that mess, which is not true. How do you feel about white people being under attack? To the point, whites are afraid to speak up, they're afraid to disagree, they're afraid of anything. What do you think about white people being attacked, and what should white people do to change that?
Right, well, I mean, there's my opinion that could get you banned, so I'm going to leave that there.
Right.
This is the woman that said the N-word on TV. She says the N-word all the time, and she says it to her friends. Just keep that in mind. Like, she says it to her friends. She said it, but I guess they think of the N-word differently. Like, I remember the interview with her. I do remember this. This is good. This is funny.
I won't even touch that. I know what's actually going on, but yes, white men especially, are under attack because it's white men who cause revolutions. It's white men who can take back their country. It's white men who defend the country. So obviously you attack them. They've managed to make women undesirable to be wives, so now you don't have women encouraging their husbands. I was actually talking to a South African farmer, and they're under massive attack in South Africa. And he had said, we'd gone off the stream, and he had said, women need to be the encouragers. He was like, women play a massive role in this fight for freedom. If you can just stand behind your man and encourage them, because when you're fighting out against the world, you need your home to be peaceful and your wife to be encouraging you, right? But men don't really have that going on for them. And then you have the forces at B, the forces that are controlling our government, controlling our politicians, etc. You have them with a plan to demoralize the white man. And I believe this has been a subversion that's been going on, for decades. Possibly maybe since World War I, possibly earlier. It's just whenever these people took control and they have a particular gripe against white men. Because, again, you take out the men, you can take over the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I was growing up, and I grew up under Jim Crow law down in Alabama, on a plantation, all that good stuff, white people just...
I wonder why Jesse always has to mention that he grew up in the Jim Crow South. I wonder why. Why does he always have to mention that? If you don't think white people are bad, who cares about the Jim Crow South? What does Jim Crow South have to do with anything? Who cares if you grew up under that? White people aren't bad. They never did anything wrong. Correct? Is that the implication that he's implying? He said the Jim Crow South was evil before, but what was evil about it? What happened in it that was evil? Why do you have to bring it up in all of your conversations in order to tell people, look, I grew up in this, so that means that you could be fine if you go through this. It's always like, the weird thing about conservatives is like, they say the quiet part out loud all the time when they're talking with almost all the conversations. Of course there's racism, we just want it. That's what they say. Like, literally, of course there's racism, we just want it. And we want to deflect by saying that other people are being subjected to bullshit. Right? That's literally what it is. Like,
have fear.
It's good though.
And in those days, we were taught to treat each other the way we would like to be treated. It has nothing to do with color or anything. There were bad people and decent people. And we did that. But now white people have fear. Where does fear come from? Because God said He doesn't give us a spirit of fear. Where does fear come from?
Fear comes from, I believe, from the fact that, you know, when you have a man, you can take over the country. So obviously you attack them. You attack the men, you attack the women, you attack the children. You attack everybody.
Where does fear come from?
Well, I mean, God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but
Right.
at the same time, you know, when you can have your life ruined because you step out of line, you offend somebody on accident, especially as a white male, like, you know, I feel like I've gotten away with it a little bit easier just because I'm a female. But if I was a white man that had done this, it would have probably gone even worse for me, to be honest. So I feel like there's fear because there's actual repercussions. You know, people say cancel culture is dead.
All right, so listen up. State Farm was trying to charge me $197 for car insurance. No, thank you.
Sure. Try and throw out a slur and see how well that goes for you.
Right.
See how dead.
But why a slur? Like why a slur? Like, and even if you throw out a slur on our end, it could go bad for you too. Just saying. Like, but why a slur? Why does it have to be a slur? Like, of all things, throw out a slur and see if it goes bad for you. Of course. Why wouldn't it go bad for you? Like, if you throw out anything about any culture, Jewish people, white people, black people, like that slurring, that's trying to be offensive to the culture. Like, why do people want to be able to do that? I never got that shit.
Cancel culture actually is, you know.
Yeah.
Now, I do think people hold white men accountable for everything, and we do need to work on that. We need to come to some kind of common ground with how we think about it. Like, damn, like, a slur is what she said. A slur, of all things. Like, what the hell?
So I think there's a legitimate fear of being attacked by people. I think there's a legitimate fear of being called a racist, being called this, that, and the other. All these labels they want to assign people to dissuade them from speaking out. Again, this is even years in the making. We're just at the end of the line here,
Yeah.
where years of demoralization, years of subversion has caused this fear within people, and it's a legitimate fear. It's a fear of losing your home. If you lose your job, you can't pay your mortgage. Your wife will leave you, you know, etc. So I think that's what the fear is from the very real repercussions of speaking out, of being proud of your race. I mean, you can't say I'm proud to be white. You can say I'm proud to be every other race under the sun, but you can't say that. So, and why can't we say that exactly? Well, it's because you will have your life destroyed. You will be debanked. You will be put on a no-fly list, especially if you
I do agree. You should be allowed to say you're proud to be whatever race you are.
talk about certain demographics. But, you know, it is what it is, and I think the fear comes from a legitimate place. But at the end of the day, we need to not be fearful, because instilling that fear is how they've conquered us. You know, and if we can overcome that and get back to our Christian roots and be like, you know, we're the lion.
They've been conquered. They're 66% of the population. They deter the majority. Whatever the majority of white people want in this country happens. It doesn't make it. What? What are you talking about? They're 66% of the population. Like, some of this shit, I don't know, it's funny. Like, that 66% of the population dictates to everybody else what happens. Like, literally, there are laws being rolled back right now because the majority of white people voted for Donald Trump. There was some black people and some Hispanics and other groups that definitely did it, but the majority of white people voted for, not a majority, but a good number of white people voted for Donald Trump. And for them voting for him, like 17 million people. Like, I mean, come on now, like. And like, laws are being rolled back on all over the place right now. Laws against women, laws against anybody. So it's like, what's the war? Like, they're winning. Like, they're winning, at least in this country, when it comes to when they want something done, something gets done. I'm confused on that part. I understand the part where they're saying, like, you can't say whatever you want. But again, you just want to say slurs. Like, you can say whatever you want, but there's just repercussions to what you say. But slurs, why is that the big thing? Of all things, like, I don't want to call white people anything bad. I don't want to do that. Like, why? Like, I don't know. I don't want to call them a slur, at least, you know? Like, what the fuck?
We're following the Lion of Judah. Like, what are we afraid of? You know, we've got God on our side, so let's stop being afraid.
This country was founded and created by white men.
Yeah, I agree.
It was God gave them the ability, because they believed in God, to create the greatest country on this side of heaven. And they had to endure things that I can't even imagine having to deal with it. But yet, and white people own the country. They made a mistake by inviting other people into the country. And in this country, all the races are accusing white people, just as one group, of being their problem. And it's mind-blowing for me to see that. They blame nobody else but the white man. And no one says, no, that's not true, that's not right, it's not true. No one says anything about it. And it's not going to get better if somebody don't start speaking up about it.
Okay.
Right, and that's why I encourage, you know, conservatives and right-wingers and people who are Republican, they're very concerned with optics and how things look. But at the same time, you have to have firebrands out there. You have to have people who are saying offensive things. You have to have people out there, saying, I'm proud to be white, even though it might be a little bit impolite. You have to have those firebrands to get conversations going. So I think we need to encourage all sorts of voices and stop fed jacketing people. Like, you'll see people go to rallies and they're like, oh, they're all feds, or oh, they're all this and that, and it just hurts the movement in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, white men are definitely under attack, and they founded this country, and the biggest mistake was letting in subversive elements to come in, and then those subversive elements encouraged the clergy plan. They encouraged mass migration. They promoted this idea of we're the melting pot, which that's not the case, but they created that in our mind to make us feel guilty if we expect this to be our country. They've instilled this guilt in us so that we cannot dare to stand up and even think it's our country, because, well, you've been told your whole life this is a melting pot. We're supposed to be the world's nanny and take everyone in.
Amazing. That's amazing. I
didn't want to interrupt her. I wanted to let her talk, because that's just how some people feel out there. And because they feel that way, we have to, find a way. Some people actually feel that way. Find a way to get everybody to understand that that's not the point. The point of letting in a bunch of people was because the population was decreasing because there was less birth rates. So I understand the point of them, saying, okay, maybe we need somebody else to come into the country, immigrants, whatever. It doesn't matter where they were from. It just seems just bring people into the country. But it seems like whites have a problem with everyone else besides them coming into the country. They don't have a problem with Italian whites, South African whites, none of them. They just have a problem with the brown people in the country. It's just weird. It's weird.
I don't know if you know this or not, but 7 years ago I started White History Month. Are you aware of that?
I heard something about it. I'm not too familiar with it, though. That was 7 years ago.
Yeah. And so July is White History Month. Every July we celebrate the month of July, White History Month. And the reason I did it in July is that July just feels white. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
It's summer.
It's summer, 4th of July. Come on. That's
vacation time, relaxing time. That's so white.
Mm-hmm.
And so
going out on boats.
Right. And so, and another reason I started, because I think that it's horrible in the way that the people of color are destroying white history. The people who made the country great, especially after that attack upon America by Black Lives Matter, who are worse than the KKK or anyone else could ever be, right? They're destroying statues and monuments and books.
Worse than the KKK. He said Black Lives Matter is worse than the KKK.
Remind us of who
Jesse,
made the
a
country
troll.
so great and why. And so I want to remind the people in the month of July and always that white people made the country. These people who are destroying it, they haven't made a country good anywhere in the world. They're all trying to come here because we're a Christian nation founded by white people, and yet we're allowing them to come in and destroy. It's like inviting someone into your home, your family member or friend, come and stay for a minute, and they destroy your household. They take over and destroy it. I just don't think we need to sit back and just do nothing about it. So that's why I started White History Month.
Well, Jesse, what do you think we should do about it? I'm curious to know what he would say in the conversation of what we would do about it.
For you, a true warrior. But no, that's true. And I think you had said earlier how you've noticed this attack on white men is really ramped up recently.
Yeah.
I think it's because, like what you were saying, white men are finally waking up. Like, they've taken it. The white men are like the lion. And they've allowed these jackals to nip at their heels for years and years, and they've just kind of taken it. Meanwhile, they're the lion. Like, come on.
Yeah.
If they rose up, these invaders wouldn't stand a chance, And they've been nipping at us and poking the bear this whole time. But the day of that is coming to an end. I can feel that. There's a strong nationalist movement rising up. That's the strongest sentiment that I'm aware of right now amongst young people, young white males. Because they're sick of being persecuted. They're sick of being told that they suck. They're sick of having their rights stripped away. They're sick of watching, their Confederate monuments taken down. I mean, my mom, when she was young and in high school, all the southern states on their flags, they had the stars and bars there. Well, that was taken away. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, that's part of our heritage and our history. So people are getting fed up with that. And as people start to wake up, as white men in particular start to take on this nationalist, viewpoint where they're like, wait a minute, this is my country and you're abusing me in my home. So why is this? You're going to see the attacks rise up. You're going to see it get intensify and get worse because they got to try to quell this rebellion.
That's why I encourage white people to drop their anger, because when you don't have anger, you can see clearly how to do the right thing at the right time, and in that you cannot fail. So I encourage all people to drop their anger, but especially white Americans. I tremble at the idea. I read some report, and I reported on it on my radio show, that at some point, white people will become the minority in America, because they're not having babies anymore. They are not producing the way they should, and that white people are going to become the minority. I tremble at that idea, because the people of color have not done anything to make America great. They have not added to the country to make it better. I could see them, they were making the country better for all, but that's not happening. And I tremble at the idea that white people would not be leading the country at some point.
I just have one question. Interesting enough that popped up. Trump, share the files. I want to know what's in the Epstein files. I want to know. I just want to know what's in the Epstein files. Secondly, interesting enough, I don't want white people to get mad and start attacking people. That would be really bad. That wouldn't be good. And yeah, they'd probably win because there's more of them compared to everybody else. But there is a point where the country would be kind of even, and I guess I don't think it would ever be. But I don't know. We'll see. Depending on what happens. But that was interesting. I was real fascinated with what they were talking about. But I definitely want Trump to show them Epstein files. I want to hear the Epstein files. All right, anyways, y'all. Peace.